All right, let's dive into the world of the Mahabharata. But we're not just talking about the main players you already know. No, we're going deep into a story of a warrior so unbelievably powerful, his tale is almost a legend in itself. We're talking about the incredible story of Barbarika.
So let me start with a question for you. Think about the Mahabharata, the massive armies, all those divine weapons, the sheer scale of the conflict. Now, what if I told you one single warrior could have ended the entire war in minutes with just 3 arrows? Seriously, who could possibly do that?
Well, that warrior's name was Barbarika, and his family tree, it's pretty much heroic royalty. I mean, he was the son of Ghatochka, and the grandson of none other than the mighty Pandava prince, Bhima. So yeah, you could say greatness was in his blood. But his real power, that came from somewhere else entirely, something beyond even his incredible family.
So where did he get this insane power? It was a gift, a boon from Lord Shiva himself. He was granted 3, let's call them unbeatable arrows. And these weren't just sharp sticks, okay? They were basically divine guided missiles. The first arrow could mark every single target he wanted to destroy. Then the second arrow would go and, well, destroy them all. And the third? It would just return to his quiver, probably because it was never even needed. That's how powerful the first 2 were.
So the Great War of Kurukshetra is about to kick off, and Barbarika is ready to go. But just before he leaves, his mother, Ahilavati, pulls him aside, and she gives him a command that's going to change everything. His whole destiny, really. It wasn't about fighting for family, or for a king, or for politics. Nope. Her instruction was simple, but so profound. You will support the side that is losing.
And for Barbarika, that wasn't just, some good advice. It became a sacred vow, a principle that he swore he would follow no matter what. He would be the supporter of the loser. So his promise was crystal clear. I vow to be the supporter of the losing side. Now just think about what that really means for a second. In any fight, he is bound by his word to help the underdog, the one getting crushed. It sounds super noble, right? But, and this is a big but, we're about to see how this incredibly noble idea has a huge, fatal flaw.
Okay, so picture this. Barbarika hops on his blue horse and starts heading towards the battlefield. But along the way, he gets stopped by a Brahmin, or at least someone who looks like a Brahmin. It's actually Lord Krishna in disguise. And of course, Krishna knows everything that's going on, and he decides, you know what? I need to test this guy. I need to see just how powerful he is, and how strong that vow really is.
So Krishna, disguised as this Brahmin, he kind of plays dumb. He's skeptical. He says something like, "So, I hear you're the guy who can end this whole war with just 3 arrows? Come on, that sounds a little arrogant, don't you think?" But Barbarika, who's totally humble, just explains that it's not a boast, it's a divine gift. And that's when the Brahmin, Krishna, decides to set up a little test.
And this is where it gets really cool. Krishna points to this big peepal tree and says, all right, if you're for real, use 1 arrow to pierce every single leaf on this tree. Barbarika's like, okay, easy enough. He closes his eyes, says a little prayer, and lets the arrow fly. Now, while the arrow is zipping around pinning leaf after leaf, Krishna does something sneaky. He takes 1 leaf and hides it under his foot. But it doesn't matter. The arrow gets every single leaf, and then it comes right for Krishna's foot and just hovers there, waiting to finish the job. I mean, wow, the power was absolutely undeniable.
Okay, so Krishna is clearly impressed. I mean, who wouldn't be? But now comes the real test. And this one isn't about power, it's about logic. He basically hits Barbarika with this massive paradox hidden inside his own vow. He asks him, hey, think about this. What happens when your own power makes the losing side the winning side? And this is the fatal flaw. Think it through with me. At the start of the war, the Pandavas are the underdog, right? They're the losing side. So Barbarika's vow forces him to fight for them. But the second he joins them with his crazy power, they instantly become the winning side, which means the Kauravas are now losing. So his vow would force him to switch sides and fight against the Pandavas. You see the problem? He just keeps switching back and forth in this insane destructive loop until both armies were completely wiped out. The only person left standing would be him.
This right here, this is the massive turning point. The test is over, and you can just imagine the look on Barbarika's face. He's hit with this devastating realization. His noble, well-intentioned vow would actually lead to total destruction. It wouldn't bring justice, it would bring ruin. So now he has this impossible choice to make: stick to his personal vow or consider the greater good, the fate of the entire world.
And it's at this exact moment that the Brahmin drops his disguise. Krishna reveals his true divine form. It must have been an absolutely awe-inspiring sight. And he explains that for dharma, for righteousness itself, to win this war, a very specific sacrifice has to be made before the first arrow is even fired. The head of the greatest warrior on the field must be offered. And then Krishna looks right at him and says that the greatest warrior is Barbarika.
Then, Krishna recites this incredibly powerful verse. I'll say it in Sanskrit. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tuam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyame ma shucha. And what it means, essentially, is let go of all your duties, all your personal vows, and just surrender to me. I will protect you. Don't be afraid. It's this beautiful, profound call to trust in a higher purpose, to put the greater good above your own promises.
And Barbarika's reaction? It's just breathtaking. He gets it. He understands the terrible logic trap of his vow, and he sees the divine truth standing right in front of him. And what does he do? He smiles. Without a single second of hesitation, he agrees. He agrees to make the ultimate sacrifice. He takes out his own sword and offers his head to Krishna.
This incredible act has a name. It's called Sheesh Daan. And it's important to understand this isn't just any sacrifice. It's the selfless, willing donation of your own head for a righteous cause. It's considered one of the absolute highest, most profound forms of sacrifice you can make.
But wait, before it happens, Barbarika has one last request. He says, I can't fight in this war, but I want to see it. I want to witness it all. And Krishna, just completely moved by this selfless act, grants his wish. He takes Barbarika's head, which remains alive, and places it on a high mountain peak that overlooks the entire battlefield. So Barbarika becomes the divine witness to the whole epic war.
But believe it or not, the story doesn't end there. Not even close. Barbarika's sacrifice was so huge, so meaningful, that it literally echoed through time. It transformed him from just a powerful warrior into something more, a divine being, whose legacy is still incredibly strong today.
So Krishna, so deeply impressed by this ultimate act of devotion, gives him another boon, a promise. He says that in our current age, the age of Kali Yuga, people will worship Barbarika, and they'll know him by one of Krishna's very own names, Shyam. And that promise brings us right to the present day. See, the actual spot where his head was later found in this era, it's now a massive, famous pilgrimage site in Rajasthan called Khatu Shyam. And there, millions of people worship Barbarika as Khatu Shyam Ji. They call him Lakh Dadar, which means the giver of bounties. And the belief is that if you go there and pray to him with a true heart, your wishes will be granted.
And you can hear millions of devotees chanting a phrase that just brings this whole story perfectly full circle. It connects that ancient vow to who he is today. They chant, Hare Ka Sahara Baba Shyam Hamara. And that means the support of the defeated is our Baba Shyam. Isn't that incredible? The very vow that led to his sacrifice is now the reason he is so deeply loved and worshipped.
And that leaves us with something pretty deep to think about, right? Barbarika gave up everything. His fame, his chance to be the war's greatest hero, and ultimately his life, all for the greater good. It really makes you ask yourself, what is the greatest kind of sacrifice? Is it about giving up the things you possess, or is it about giving up the person you had the potential to become?